That back in 1973-74, before there was any record pool, the best way to get service was to get on Billy Smith's list. He had the original list. Many of you that are veterans in this crowd will remember. He was the original guy that put together a list of credible DJs nationwide. And if you were on Billy Smith's list, you got pool service. You got record service. But it was kind of like one big list, and you were either on it or you weren't. Back in the early days, this is a copy of the August 1974 edition of Melting Pot magazine. Some of you might remember that.
That is cool.
It lists, this is volume 1, number 1, by the way. God bless Billy Smith. That's the title of it. If you got on his list, God bless you. The reason I'm mentioning this is that shortly thereafter there was a meeting at Club Hollywood in Manhattan. It was hosted by Richie Kaiser and a few other people, and they talked about getting a centralized way of getting the product to individuals, because what Pooch said is right on. Back then, it cost roughly $2 to mail out a single package to an individual DJ. And if you had 1,000 people on your list, if you had Billy Smith's list, and you had, maybe 1,000 people you wanted to get that out to, that'll run you $2,000 in postage alone, not to mention the cost of packaging and handling. And there was no centralized way of coordinating your feedback. But by sending out product to record pools, you can cut that down to about 20% of what your overall costs would be, and you got a centralized way to get your feedback sent back to you. So there was a meeting at Club Hollywood, and it morphed into David Mancuso putting together the first record pool, and I have here, Pooch got a kick out of this. This is the original Declaration of Intent, signed by David Mancuso, Steve D'Acquisto, rest in peace, and Paul Casella, who will be here tonight, to establish the first record pool, New York record pool at 99 Prince Street. And
Smithsonian.
The reason I'm mentioning this is that was the first record pool ever. They had the idea to coordinate this, and what I did was, I didn't know David that well. I knew Steve fairly well, and Paul was my best friend at the time. We worked at a lot of clubs together. I went to Paul and I said, hey, listen, this is a great idea. What we'd like to do is be a Long Island substation for the DJs in the New York record pool, so they don't have to trek into Manhattan every week, which was a requirement at the time. And Paul said he thought it was an okay idea. Steve said he didn't care either way, but David said that he had enough going on with running his own operation that he didn't want to have to worry about anything else. So he said, but he appreciated me coming to him and asking if we could be part of 99 Prince Street Pool. But he said, do your own thing with our blessings. And from that point on, we serviced the DJs on Long Island, and we referred New York DJs to David and crew. And they had asked Long Island DJs to become part of our pool. We formed our organization about 3 or 4 weeks after 99 Prince Street pool formed, and then about a month later, John Luongo started the third record pool, which Joey jumped on board. And I want to give you a little bit more history. David ran that pool for about almost 2 years, and I'm not going to get into why it closed, but it did close, and that resulted in a number of other pools spinning off from the pool that was 99 Prince Street, New York record pool. For the Record was one, Disco Den was another, IDRC was another. There were about 6 or 7 different record pools that spun off. Bobby, sure Bobby Davis? Yes, there were a number of pools that spun off, and it were basically along format lines. The guys that played most of the Latin stuff joined IDRC or Al Pizarro's pool. Dance DJs stuck with Judy and For the Record. And basically it splintered that way. We eventually changed our name to New York Music Pool a few years ago when those other record pools finally waned and stopped operations, and we contacted the record labels that we were dealing with, and things morphed from vinyl to CD to digital service, and we asked if the labels that we were dealing with wanted to have an urban pool, which was the only thing that was left in New York, handle dance music product, or if they wanted us as a suburban dance music oriented pool to handle dance music product throughout the metro area. And without exception, all of the labels we were dealing with said, we'd like you to do that. That's why we changed the name from Long Island Record Pool to New York Music Pool. But we didn't want to change it to New York Record Pool in homage to what David Mancuso did. And I do want to mention to you that I reached out to David to be at this panel. He's a very private guy, if any of you know him personally, but he said that he understands that many of you know what happened there and appreciate what he did, but he didn't want to be part of the panel. He wants to, just remain private, but he deserves a tip of the hat from anybody who ran a record pool and anybody who was in a record pool, because without David Mancuso starting the first record pool, none of this would have happened, and us three guys wouldn't be here today. So for David Mancuso, please, a round of applause. Joey, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, well, let's, record pools, the run was on, and what Jackie just mentioned, all of a sudden, it was probably, I would say, 77, 78 when a gazillion pools started showing up. They were just fucking everywhere.
About 150.
Yeah, when that happens, it starts to liquefy. I was watching the credibility of the pool getting what used to be a place where you went to find music was a place where you went to get music. The British invasion in the 80s, it was radio was jumping on. I was music director of Kiss 108 in Boston at the time. I was no longer associated with the record pool, but I was jumping on the culture clubs and the Thompson Twins and the Haircut 100s and the ABCs far before the DJs had a chance, or the record pools even had a chance to get service with it, because most of that stuff was on import. And this is where I think the record pools started to get a little shaky, because couldn't get, all of a sudden, the big thing in the 80s was imports. Before that, when I was a DJ, in the early 70s, we would go and look for imports, and you'd find these little imports here and there. They were very sexy. Most of the time, the record sucked, but it was an import, so you were fucking cool. You remember that? Yeah, there's a whole bunch of records like that.
Nobody had it.
Yeah, as long as you just steam the fucking label out and shit. So, and then when that British invasion came in, all of a sudden it was like the DJs were out buying records again. To compete, they had to go buy records. Record pools were beginning to liquefy. I'm talking about now. Before the records, Jackie's organization, those guys are still very, very solid. But you were beginning to become affected by so many of these other little pools popping up. That was like, I remember, I was, in 1989, was the Record Pool Massacre. Do you remember who started that? I did. I went into Atlantic.
That would be sin.
Yeah, that would really be me. I went to Atlantic in '89. Doug Morris brought me from LA, and to run the Atlantic Dance Music Department. The mandate, you'll read about this in my book, Big Flight, the Boston Hustle, coming out next year. Why he brought me there and what he told me I could do and how to get it done was pretty amazing, and I did. But the first thing I had to do was I took a look at what we were fucking sending out and what we were spending on record pools, and I said, I need that money to do what I need to do for Doug Morris. And I looked at it and I said, I just could not justify it. I just couldn't do it anymore. And I cut everybody. I cut everybody. Fucking people went crazy. You traitor, rap bastard. How could you fucking do that? Well, get your shit together and I'll bring everybody back on. Did I cut you guys? I don't think I cut you guys at all, did I?
Nobody cut for
Yeah, but I cut everybody fucking else.
I didn't want to contradict you, but you got the service.
And I think that it was the big guys who got together, and I started to resurface a little bit more. But did you guys ever get nervous or think that it was going to end?
Well, I think
did you have, first of all, none of us knew that the MP3, the digital delivery was ever coming.
We already went through a couple of ups and downs with other labels. Some of you might remember.
But not Atlantic.
Denise,
We were fucking big
some of
dogs.
you might remember Denise Chapman
Oh,
from
wow.
Sal Soul.
Oh,
She cut every pool except ours.
yeah.
And,
We
you
were
know,
pissed. Yeah, we were pissed.
what happened was the promotional emphasis on Sal Soul dropped like a rock. And it went from anything that was on Sal Soul being played at clubs across the board to anything on Sal Soul hardly get played at all. And she had to backtrack and start servicing pools again. That was repeated by a couple of other people in the business, but it really was a situation where if you didn't service record pools and DJs didn't have that product to play in the clubs, there was enough good alternative product for them to play and get through the night with keeping their crowds happy. So if they didn't want to service it, the DJs didn't play it, and you know it was their loss, and eventually they came around to service it again. In most cases, I think that you know is a universal, but you know there were a couple companies that wound up cutting, and they suffered for it.
I cut you.
What's that? Oh, easy.
I have to say, through my memory and for the record, I mean, I was a member for over 20 years, and so I can be the assistant director and finally the director of the pool. I cannot remember any record label cutting for the record service, ever. Really.
Well, you guys had the
Yeah,
biggest.
you know, they had the reporters. Nobody cut the Boston record pool either. All the reporters were the Boston record pool.
So I met all the Billboard reporters. What does that mean?
It means you don't get cut.
I have to say, and I'm going to say it because I don't want Pooch to have to say it, but I have to say that For the Record was in a different category than any other record pool out there. They didn't get subject to the same, you know, problems that a lot of other
They had the
pools
elite until freestyle came around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, then all of a sudden that changed everything a little bit too. Because once freestyle came around, all you know, the Eddie Royals and all you guys out there surfaced like motherfuckers.
But I'll tell
They had a
you,
nice little run.
the reason
Nice
why
little run.
was that Judy and Pooch and team made it a point to get around to the record labels and have a personal relationship with the people that were servicing the records. And that was really important. And what we did on Long Island at the time to try to compensate for the fact that we weren't able to get in as often as much as they did. They had a bigger team. They had closer proximity. What we did is we went around and videotaped every single one of our DJs in their clubs and showed the record promoters what they would be missing if they didn't service the DJs in our pool. And we were lucky enough by sending out hundreds of those tapes to the different promoters across the country to retain our service when a lot of the other record pools had a tough time getting service when things fell off. But the situation did change, and it's still changing. I mean, you know, we all went through the evolution of vinyl to CDs, and CDs to digital, which was really the point where many of the record pools dropped off because their members would say, well, hey, listen, why do I have to pay to be part of a record pool when I can go out there and try to scour some, you know, music free on the internet? Back then you had Napster, you had a couple of other, you know, clones of Napster that made digital music. You can name 6 or 7 of them. But you had a number of DJs that were saying, hey, listen, why do I have to pay? And we tried to emphasize the fact that by being a member of the pool, you not only got product, but you got heads up on what might be coming out gig-wise. In other words, if somebody in the pool knew that a night was opening up at one of their clubs, they tried to funnel it back through the pool so we could tell one of our members to go after that gig so it didn't go to a non-pool member. And we were pretty strong with doing that. And that was a big reason why we retained some of our members. And the final thing that we did, which is why we're still in operation today, is that we partnered with one of the digital music providers, and we provide a digital music service now where we give more product to our DJs than we ever got any time before. And you know, a lot of the music you won't play, but a lot of the music you will play. And I'm not going to mention that more so than if anybody's interested in knowing more about that at the conclusion. Come, give me a card. I'll give you a hands-on feel for how that works, whether you're on the label side, the promotion side, or the DJ side. This service is a viable service that allows us to retain our functionality in this changing world.
Okay, that's right. I want to talk about that. Part of what the record pools were about, we could coordinate promotion efforts for a particular song, and that song would end up on the radio. Because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that fucking record companies do. Can you help me get it onto radio? Now, I've done it 1,000 times. I did it as a department head for Atlantic. I did it at TBT. I did it as a record pool director. Jackie, can you do it today? I mean, can you coordinate a campaign based on the members of your pool to attack and promote a record that isn't on the radar right now, but you guys think that this is a radio record and we're going to get this played and coordinated so much in the clubs that it's going to Shazam without radio? Can we still do that? I mean, can that still be that? Because, I mean, I'd love to think that it can, but can it?
The biggest problem that we have with that is record label legal clearance. I'll turn it over.
Oh, fuck that shit.
No, let me mention to you, let me give you a case in point. We had a song called Don't You Need Somebody by Red One. I don't know if you know about it. I know Carrie Vance and Izzy know about that. It went to #1 in our pool because we talked to the label people. We did a custom remix. They said we could circulate it throughout our pool members, but we couldn't break it outside of our pool. It went to #1 in our pool, and yet we couldn't get clearance to get it past our pool and post it on some of the other pages, Beatport, Track Source, other sources. And the big problem, we contacted Red One personally, and we contacted the label Warner to ask them if they would give us clearance. We just couldn't do it. So did it work for us? Yes, it worked big time for us. But could we break it beyond our perimeter of the record pool? We couldn't. Izzy.
Bootlegs go up every single day on millions of
That's right.
You don't need something.
You don't need push. That's right.
Well,
Izzy,
let me
fuck
say,
'em.
okay, Izzy said bootlegs are up and we could have gone that route. If anybody knows me that's out there, you'll know I would never bootleg a project because if I will ask, and if the answer is no, that's as far as it goes
That's
with
Boy
me.
Scout promotion. They
Yeah.
don't want
That is
that.
what
They
Boy
do.
Scout.
Renegade.
I'm going to let you know right now, if you don't, then you're missing out on half of the records.
That's
people are
right.
playing, because they're playing bootleg. They're not playing original mixes. Right. Out of 30 mixes that was done on the Gautier record, only one was commissioned by Tiesto. That wasn't even remotely close to being the first remix played. It wasn't even in the top 20 of
You really think they're gonna come after you, Jackie? They might been saying it,
no,
but they got a lot of other things to do. With all due respect to you and what you do, they don't give a fuck. If you're gonna help them get a record played, they don't give a shit what you do with you. They may say they give a shit. They'll only give a shit if you fuck something up. And how are you gonna fuck it up by servicing music? I never got that. How do you fuck it up by servicing? Oh, we're not ready for that one. Well, fuck you. The public is, and we're gonna service it.
You got it on vinyl?
Ah, man, that's a whole other kettle of fish. If there's got to be a record, and I've said this in Philadelphia, and I'll be talking about this again later on tonight on the 8 o'clock panel, that I'm really, really looking forward to. You got to find this one song that if this organization, or any organization that wants to advance dance music, you're going to have to find that one song that's not on the radar that everybody's going to have to just dig in and go get, whether they get paid or don't get paid to get it done, to say, look, we can still do this. Me personally, the one I like right now, a few months ago, it was the Alex Newell, Kill the Lights, but they killed the TV show, so they kind of good. But Doug Lazy, Church Clock. You guys know it? Anybody here know the Doug Lazy Church Clock record? See, that's a fucking problem. How the fuck do you not know about that? The hip hop artists all fucking time.
How many
How
copies can I get from my pool?
Yeah, but you should. And you have to hear this record. Because
Started off as hip hop.
hip house, exactly. But you have to listen, there was a renaissance coming, guys. I've been saying it for 2 years. It's coming. It's gonna come next year. You've got the 40th anniversary of Saturday Night Fever. You've got JT saying I got disco in my feet. The song Jason Derulo. I Want record. You could run Dance 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 by Chic underneath that record all day long. Disclosure. These are all house acts that are morphed into something else. It's coming. There's no doubt about it. We just have to take advantage of it. We can't let it go past us. We got to be part of this thing when it happens. And we're going to talk about this later on. But is it the record pools that can do that? I don't know. We got 3 minutes left. Pooch, why don't you take the next 3 minutes?
I want to tag on what Jackie said before because he was right. The relationship that For the Record had with a lot of the labels was because I was able to go see a Carvello, hang out, burn one, or go to Carvello, or go see Juggy Gales. You know, there were a lot of labels I could go and visit and hang out with, and I think that did help solidify and keep the service going all the time. And one of the things I did want was I wanted the service first. I wanted it. Listen, you got this coming on. I mean, give me 25 now. Service the pool. Let me get a taste for it before everybody else has it. I was kind of like that. Yeah, okay. I was greedy.
Well, I wanted to say that before you did. That really, For the Record was in a different category. Listen, we're going to have to wrap this up in just a couple minutes. I got word. Are there any questions that we can take from you guys out there before we wrap it up? We could keep talking, but if you have any questions, we have a couple minutes.
Is your record pool still open and are you still serving music to the people?
Yeah, we're the last record pool operating in the New York metro area that's dance music oriented. It's the New York Music Pool, and you're welcome to grab the card. I'll be happy to talk to you about it afterwards. Izzy.
Patches still in your pool?
Yeah.
Patches was
Well, okay, wait, before we go. Okay, I'm going to tell a story. Sit down. I'm going to tell you, DJ, this is DJ Patch's story.
And I
We've
got
2 minutes
one
left.
too.
No. You're gonna let me tell the story. Do you want to hear the story? Okay. So I'm at Atlantic Records, and I was already pre-warned. Listen to me. Just keep quiet for a second. I was already pre-warned about Patches before I get to New York. I forget who told me. Someone told me. And he called me, started haunting me. So I said, look, here's how this is gonna work. I'd like this hot spot. I liked what he was doing. I'd drop off lists, whatever. Don't ever call me, and you come up every Thursday, and there'll be a package waiting for you. Okay? And of course, he didn't do that. He haunted me, he bothered me, he nudged me, and one day I missed a package, and he went crazy, so I got him on the phone. I told him, go fuck yourself, you'll never get another fucking record from me again, go the fuck away. Boom. No. Better than that. Wait. Just wait. You're gonna love this. So the day goes by, and I was working for a variety of people at Atlantic, and I was lucky enough to be working with Ahmed. I worked with Ahmed Erdogan. We did some projects together. So at the end of the day, I get a call from Ahmed. I get a call, it's Ahmed. So I pick up the phone, hi Mr. Erdogan. Call me Ahmed Joe. Yes, I can't do that, Mr. Erdogan. He said, okay. He said, Joey, let me ask you something. Why are you fucking with DJ Patches? Because you take care of him and that's it. Boom! Say what you want about fucking Patches. He had fucking Ahmed Erdogan in his back fucking pocket.
Okay, I'm going to give you the last Patches story before we wrap up. Yeah, this is it. Okay. Does anybody know how DJ Patches got his name? Does anybody know how DJ Patches got his name?
If you do, that's sad.
Okay, I'm going to tell you. DJ Patches was a Long Island DJ. No, he was never in our pool. But he used to come to the club that I used to work at. I was the main resident at Uncle Sam's, a big nightclub out on Long Island.
He was not For the Record.
I would play until 4 o'clock in the morning, and when I was just about ready to wrap up and pack up everything, last group of people were in the club, and Patches would be scouting out some girl that asked if they wanted to go to the diner, and inadvertently some girl would make the great mistake of saying yes. But we would follow him out to the parking lot, because when he would get out walking with the girl and he would stop at his car, she would see the vehicle covered from front bumper to back, every piece of paint or chrome covered with bumper stickers, except for the glass. He was known as Patches because of his vehicle. And the girl inadvertently would walk with him and then look at the vehicle, stop, and then turn around as if, no, I am not going to get murdered tonight. That's how Patches got his
That's
name.
it, we're gonna wrap it up, thank you very much.
How about that, Ray?